When you first lay eyes upon Denji as a character in Chainsaw Man, there is typically a few impressions some would get, but if there is one thing I think many would get when they start the story, is that Denji seems like a typical shonen MC. He seems very shallow in terms of what he wants, and he seems to be someone that really loves late night activities, so to speak, where he wants to grab a chest. So when you look at Denji as a character from his starting point to where he's at currently in part 2 of Chainsaw Man, you can see the evolution of his character and just how much he has changed, how much he has accomplished, what goal he is fighting for, and how much depth Fujimoto Sensei has put into Chainsaw Man. And so today, I want to talk about Denji as a character. I want to talk about his evolution, and just how much he's changed or hasn't changed, and obviously this video will contain spoilers for Chainsaw Man Part 1, and obviously Chainsaw Man Part 2. So if you're not caught up with the latest chapter, then this video is probably not for you, because there is heavy spoilers, like heavy spoilers. I don't recommend you to continue if you want to, remain spoiler free. So let's dive into it. This page is from Chapter 1, and when you take a hard look at this page, this rings true throughout the entirety of the story of Chainsaw Man with Denji as a character. You see where Denji and Puchita make a contract, and this is the obvious turning point of the story, where, Denji actually gets to become Chainsaw Man, where he merges with, Puchita, and he becomes the character we know. And in this moment, you see where he's willing to offer up his body to Puchita. He's like, Puchita, you can live my life, use my body, and all that, avoid getting killed by devil hunters. And he tells Puchita, in this box, as you can see here, I want you to live a normal life and die a normal death. This is what he says to Puchita. That is his exact words, his exact lines that he wants to give to his best friend in this moment. It's very honorable, and like I said, at first glance, this seems very stereotypical. This seems very shonen-esque when you think about, just Denji as a character. And as it carries on, basically, we know what happens next. Basically, Denji, he gets brought back, and, he wants, Puchita to, have his dream come true. He wants Puchita to have a good life. But Puchita basically tells Denji that, no, I want to watch you live your dream. I want you to accomplish your dream. And basically, the dream of having a normal life. That is what this contract is pretty much about. Basically, live in happiness, have a fulfilled life, a normal life, and die a normal death. And the concept of a normal life is very vague, very simplistic, but also there is a lot of depth as well if you want to dive down that rabbit hole. Because what really describes a normal life? Like, seriously, let's really think about this, okay? Because there's many different viewpoints people would have over a normal life. And this overall contract that Denji makes with Puchita really leaves up into vagueness, so to speak. It is so vague that it probably led to a lot of things that's happened throughout the story, and why, he, for instance, didn't break when it came to Makima turning on him and everything. There's a lot to pull away from that. So let's get into that. A normal life. When you think about a normal life, there's many ways to go about it, but I think a common one is that someone, probably lives a very happy life, they have a happy childhood, and they're able to come home every single day, meet their family, hug their family, either go to work, go to school, and just have a very good time. I feel like that's kind of what constitutes a normal life, to be able to wake up every day, have a roof over your head, have food, maybe have a pet like a dog or a cat or something, be able to just have a very casual, normal life. However, there is people out there that have different viewpoints of a normal life. A normal life for many could be like I just said, or it could be something where someone wants to just live alone, be a hermit, and just live their days playing games or whatever and just doing their own business. And that could be a normal, happy life for them. Or others might want to do more extravagant things, like maybe they want to travel around the world and they want to be able to see the sights of different places. That could be a normal life for some. And then for others, another normal life could be someone that just wants to have, let's say late night activities, so to speak, all the time, and that's all they care about. So when you really think about the concept of a normal life, it is very vague. It is open for interpretation, and this really does add a lot of depth to Denji's character and him discovering what really means a normal life, so to speak. And the reason why I'm even talking about this is because this is literally the overarching goal of Denji as a character. It's not some grand conquest to become the Demon King or the hero of all, or destroy the Demon King, or, let's say become the president of the world or whatever. He doesn't have a goal that really is massive in scale. He just has a goal of finding himself as a human being. And I feel like this is very relatable, and I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook this aspect of Denji as a character because obviously there's just so much wackiness and craziness in Chainsaw Man with the chaos that you overlook some of the very subtle and normal aspects of the story. And obviously there has been conversations of this in the past. I doubt I'm the first one to talk about this, but it definitely is overlooked. I feel like it is not talked about as much as it should because Denji as a character is someone that does have a very simplistic goal. And obviously very early on within the manga of Chainsaw Man, this is something that is downright just told to you. Like, Fujimoto, as a writer, just straight up tells you he has characters continuously confronting Denji early on that his objective of wanting to grab a chest or whatever is very vague, shallow, and nothing grand. And this is continuously thrown on. And these goals that he sets for himself is just very small stepping stones that go to the overarching goal that is having a normal life. And this goes into the concept of, like, ignorance is bliss, to also just, like, we always want something, and once we obtain it, this is a thing that obviously has been very present in the Chainsaw Man story. When you grab something, you want more, and this is very human nature. If you finally start to live comfortably, and you have something, you get into a routine, eventually you're going to want to change that. Something needs to change or be different. And so humans are always wanting to grasp the next big thing. We're always seeking something else, something new, something different, something exciting. And Denji perfectly represents that as a character. So going into the later chapters, and I feel like this is very important, around chapter 92 of Chainsaw Man, this is part 1, to clarify, this is right before his final confrontation with Makima, he talks with Kobeni. He has a really deep conversation that is easily overlooked in this moment, and once again, it's another moment I feel like is not talked about, because this very scene is memed to death. Like, you have this whole scene where, like, he walks to the television, and obviously you have that panel that people meme. It's like, oh, they're just like me, he's just like me, and all this type of stuff. The people have memed the crap out of that, and people focus on that aspect that's absolutely hilarious. But there is a very deep moment here with Denji and Kobeni, where she basically says what is going on with Denji seems very normal. So let's read this panel. Look, I look fine, but right now my heart feels like it's at the bottom of a toilet clogged with crap. All the good feelings, all the bad feelings I had up to now, they were all manufactured by someone else, aka any character he's came in contact with, aka Makima. I'm dumb as a rock, so I was cool with living as the fool. But next thing I knew, my ignorance made it all go down the crapper. Basically, ignorance was bliss, and then he discovered the truth, and then he no longer could live in that lie no more. Thinking back on it now, I never made any choices for myself. I just got used, I just always got used. Always did as I was told instead of thinking for myself, and which is very true. It was his character to this very point. The only real choices I made were little things like what to eat for lunch. Even if I make it out of this alive, I bet I'll always be living in obedience to someone like a dog. And then Kobeni, she looks at him, and she says a very truthful comment. And I feel like this is a comment that will fly over many people's heads. It is a comment that is just so... It's so massive, but it also can just fly over your head because of everything going on at the story at this point. If you're reading Chainsaw Man, there's just so much going on. This comment will just do whoop right over your head. So she says, isn't that just normal? Everything he just described. Basically, you live your entire life basically being obedient to someone else, aka like a boss. For instance, a lot of people, you go to work, and you have to listen to your boss and do as you're told. Or you go to school, you gotta listen to your teacher, do as you're told. There's many like aspects, like parts of your life to where you have to listen to someone, even your parents. And basically, Kobeni just says, like, that's just what life really is. Isn't that just normal? And obviously, this is normal, but not normal at the same time, because as I already explained early on, is that the concept of normal or living a normal life is very vague. There's many ways to really interpret what normal is normal. It depends on how you view the concept of normal. And so when you look at how she presents this, Kobeni comes from a place to where her life, she's always had to listen to her parents. She's put her life literally on the line to just help her family give money, and she doesn't really get to keep anything for herself. She obviously has had a really bad upbringing, but she truly believes that is normal, which says a lot about her, but it kind of goes once again along with how people view life, how they view what is normal or what is strange. And so when she says that, Denji, he looks at her in shock. He's legitimately shocked. And she's like, there's no such thing as life free of bad things. And this is some very truthful and harsh words, except in your dreams. And she kind of wants to tell Denji, like, look, Denji, no matter what happens in your life, good or bad, there will always be the opposite of each other. You will always have that going throughout your life. It will not always be just good. You will have moments of sadness, moments of happiness, anger, rage, envy, whatever emotion you want to feel. You will have many moments that really just stick out to you. And it's what you do with what happens to you, what constitutes as your life and the decisions you make. And so Denji realizes this. He comes to a realization, even if he doesn't fully understand what Kobeni just said, he realizes there's something very wrong about this statement. He's like, huh? Oh, but I wanted to be normal. And you see his confusion. And as he's confused, he hears his name being chanted on the TV. He walks over to the TV, everybody's chanting his name, and he realizes in that moment, he's not normal. And he goes along with that. He doesn't have a normal upbringing, he doesn't have a normal life, and he completely rejects Kobeni's ideals, or what she says to him in a degree, because even though he has become accustomed to this life, and he has lived that life, he now realizes it's not normal to live like this, at least in his viewpoint. And so when he goes up to the TV and he sees people chanting his name, and obviously that iconic meme is like, it's just like me, or, they love me, they really love me, and all this, he goes back into his normal self, he finds himself, but he also realizes that he will be him, and he won't let anyone dictate that. He is his own person. And I feel like this is a very powerful moment for his character, and I love this aspect of that. Him, realizing that he really hasn't had a normal life, and up to this point it hasn't been normal. He's been going against the very thing he wants, and he does not accept that. And what adds evidence to this, by the way, is later on in the manga, in part 2, in the recent chapters, chapter 116, he has a conversation with Asa here, and he basically mentions briefly to her, and he talks about, Naruto, which is the reincarnation of Makima. He talks about, I've got this sort of friend, sort of little sister living with me. She's smart enough to go to college. I'm saving up for her tuition. College is crazy expensive, right? See, my life was always crappy before. I want her to have a normal life. And this right here is a very brief moment, but once again, it is an extension to what you see here, with knowing what normal is and living a normal life. There's many ways to take this moment. Denji basically implies that he might not ever be able to have what the concept or the general consensus is of normal, and so he wants to make sure someone he's taking care of, someone that he's helping out, will have it better than him, which goes into more of a parental figure than anything else. And I think this is a very powerful moment to just show that Denji, it's not just about himself anymore. He's not just selfishly going after what he wants, he's putting his own self out there to help someone else out, willingly. He's not trying to have any overarching motivation of, like, let's just say night activities, wanting to grab a chest or something. He legit just wants someone to have a better life. And I think that's a very powerful statement from his character because of what he's been through, his experiences as a person. He wants someone to have a better life, something that he never could have and will never be able to obtain. He understands this, and he wants someone to be able to have that chance to obtain something that he never had. He might be envious, but at the same time, he feels happy knowing he could give someone that. So powerful, very powerful growth from his character, stemming all the way from chapter 1 of Chainsaw Man. It's really amazing, honestly, just how Fujimoto has demonstrated such a simple goal, a simplistic goal of a normal life, and kind of elevate it in manga form, which is the wacky, chaotic nature that is Chainsaw Man. I absolutely love what he has done with the manga and Denji as a character, and I think that the upcoming chapter, with Naruto, when she finally, reappears again, is going to be fascinating because, obviously he's been raising her basically like a little sister to, and he's also kind of like a father figure to her. It makes you wonder what is really their interaction like, how they really are, just everything about, Nayuta is a mystery. So because of that, I am legitimately curious. Like, is she going to be a protective little sister? Is she going to be someone that's just all, like wanting to be, in the attention of Denji? There's just so many things that can happen, and I think it's very wonderful to see this, because he has become a lot better of a person, more understanding. He's not perfect, he's very flawed, but he wants to give the best he can to someone that, he never could obtain. Just great. I love that. I love the journey of Denji. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I wanted to talk about this because it's very fascinating. It's a little aspect of Chainsaw Man, like I said. It's just, people are aware of this, but they don't talk about it a lot. And I feel like I wanted to start more conversation around it. I really did, because I feel like this is just a great aspect of Chainsaw Man. One of my favorite aspects of Chainsaw Man is the growth of Denji's character. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you would like more Chainsaw Man videos kind of like this, do let me know in the comments below and leave a like as well. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.